The moment Ren Takahashi walked through the school gates, Yui Saito felt her chest tighten and heat flood her cheeks. It made no sense. For 3 years, she had done nothing but humiliate him.
Look who's back. The leftover. Did you think a summer could change anything?
Every lunch, she stole his food, smirking as his stomach growled. She locked him out of the bathroom, forcing him to beg before she finally opened the door.
Why does she treat me like this? I never did a single thing to her.
At night, he clutched his empty stomach and tried to sleep.
I have to find a way out. I can't keep living like this.
But that summer, Ren discovered a path that would give him the strength to fight back, and when he came back, the girl who tormented him couldn't even meet his eyes without stammering. In that cramped apartment, thin walls left no secret safe for long.
I want that boy out before the summer ends. I don't care how you do it.
He's not even waiting for my birthday. He just wants me gone.
Desperate for escape, Ren wandered until he found an old gym that bore his mother's family name.
You look half-starved, kid. Did you say your mother was a Takahashi?
I'm Ren. Did you know her? I never knew she came here.
She was my best student, and she made sure you'd have a future, a trust fund that unlocks at 17.
A trust fund? Nobody ever told me. Why are you telling me now?
Because your stepfather has no power over it, and you need to be ready before he finds another way to hurt you.
That summer, Ren trained under Coach Takeda, determined to claim his legacy. Day after day, Ren pushed his body past every limit, shedding both weakness and pain.
You've got your mother's fire, boy. Keep going.
By midsummer, he ran before dawn, his breath steady and his heart finally unbroken.
I'm becoming someone else. But is there anything left of the old me?
On his 17th birthday, Coach Takeda handed him more than congratulations.
These are the keys to your mother's apartment. She wanted you to have it when you came of age.
An apartment? She left me a home?
Ren stood in the empty flat, sunlight streaming through windows, and finally felt safe. He entered a barbershop a boy and walked out a young man, hair swept back and uniform crisp. When he slung his bag over his shoulder for the first day back, no one would recognize the leftover. The school gates buzzed with the start of term, cherry blossoms drifting lazily.
Yui, look at that guy near the gate? I've never seen anyone so intense.
Just some transfer student trying too hard. Don't stare, it's pathetic.
But when the homeroom teacher called out Takahashi Ren, Yui's head snapped up. The pencil in her hand clattered to the floor as she stared at the boy who had once been easy to ignore.
She's looking at me like she's seen a ghost. But the summer changed more than my looks. It changed what I'll tolerate.
That can't be him. He was nothing like this. Why can't I breathe properly?
After the bell, she moved to follow him without a word to Miki, but stopped herself halfway down the corridor.
Yui, your face is red. Don't tell me you actually know that guy?
Yui couldn't answer. For the first time, the leftover had left her completely speechless. In the cafeteria, Ren's quiet confidence drew a crowd. Girls hovered around his table, offering desserts and sidelong glances.
Ren-kun, try this melon bread. I bet you've never had one this fresh.
They mean well, but I didn't rebuild myself just to entertain a fan club.
Across the room, Yui bit her thumbnail until it stung, watching every smile aimed his way.
He's not even looking at them. But why does it bother me so much?
Later, in the hallway, Miki cornered Yui with a knowing grin.
Admit it, you can't stop staring at Takahashi. Is he an ex-boyfriend or something?
Don't be stupid. I just don't trust him, that's all. He's up to something.
That night, Yui knelt in her room and pried up a loose floorboard. Beneath it lay a worn notebook filled with columns of saved yen. On the cover, in faded ink, "For Ren to give back what I took." Yui began staging small collisions, shoulder bumps in crowded hallways, dropped papers near his desk.
She's trying to get a reaction after 3 years. That's almost amusing.
One morning, a folded note appeared in his shoe locker, heart sticker carefully pressed over the seam.
A love letter? No, just a clumsy apology that explains nothing.
Ren, I wanted to say, your lunch looks nice.
It's just rice. You can have it if you're hungry.
That night, Kenji slammed a palm against the dinner table, rattling Yui's teacup.
You let him settle back in like nothing happened. I told you to make him so miserable he'd beg to leave.
She was 12 again, and her father's hand had been around her wrist, hissing that if she didn't drive Ren out, he'd throw them both onto the street.
I never had a choice, but now I can't tell the difference between his orders and my own guilt.
The school festival transformed the campus into a maze of stalls and laughter.
Ren-kun, come take a photo with me in our maid costumes. You can sit right here.
I'm good, thanks.
Another girl tugged his sleeve, but Yui's vision blurred with anger. She pushed through the crowd, hot tears escaping before she could stop them. Behind the gym, Yui slid down the wall and hugged her knees.
I stole his lunch every day, laughed when he was hungry. What right do I have to cry now?
Wiping her eyes, she saw Ren kneeling beside a lost child, offering a calm hand.
You'll find your mom near the takoyaki stand. Want me to walk with you?
The same boy she had starved was still the kindest person she knew, and that truth broke something open inside her. Kenji cornered Yui in the hallway that evening, his shadow swallowing the light from the living room.
You think I didn't see you at the festival? You were supposed to humiliate him, not run off crying. If that boy isn't gone by next week, you can pack your things and join him on the streets.
She flinched, but deep in her chest a tiny ember refused to die. Late that night, Yui knelt by her floorboard and uncovered the notebook her father knew nothing about.
This money was supposed to repay every bento I stole, every locked door.
She had planned to hand it over once he finally escaped, but now the thought of him leaving felt like a wound. The notebook recorded years of self-imposed penance, every yen a confession.
Father ordered me to be cruel, but no one forced me to save this. It's the only thing that's truly mine.
For the first time, her guilt felt less like a chain and more like a plan.
I can't keep hiding this, but if I give him the notebook now, he'll think it's another trick.
She's been tailing me all week but won't say a word. Something's eating at her.
That evening, Ren passed his old house and heard Kenji's voice through the window.
You think you can mope around and fix this? You'll drive him out by the end of the month or you'll both regret it.
I can't. I won't anymore. He's already stronger than you know.
Ren straight to the only man who had never lied to him.
Your mother always said Kenji would strip a soul just to watch it break. He targeted her first.
Then Yui's been cornered the whole time. But 18 years, how can anyone fake that much hate?
Coach slid a worn photo album across the tatami, pointing to a woman with Ren's own eyes. That night, Ren unlocked his mother's apartment and began pulling every document she'd hidden in its walls. The next morning, by his shoe locker, Yui dropped a book and fled before he could speak. When he picked it up, a worn notebook slid from between the pages. March 5, skipped dessert, 100 yen. March 7, sold hair clips, 500 yen. Total for Ren, 6,800 yen.
Every cruelty she showed me, she was recording the cost of her own guilt.
Father said he would send Ren to a children's home if I stopped. I hate myself for listening.
She wasn't my enemy, she was his prisoner, and I never saw it.
He ran to the dojo, and Coach Takeda studied the handwriting before speaking.
Her mother wrote the same way. This girl's been saving her own dignity one coin at a time.
She tried to warn me last night. I heard her stand up to him for the first time.
Ren closed the notebook and made a decision he would confront Yui before her father could destroy the truth. The school rooftop was empty except for the girl with silver hair, leaning against the chain-link fence. She didn't notice him until he was close enough to touch.
I found your notebook. The one hidden under your floorboard.
She made a sound that was half laugh, half sob, and covered her mouth.
You weren't supposed to see that. It was my penance.
Penance for what? Explain. I need to hear it from you.
My father. He said he would throw you out if I didn't make you leave on your own. I had to hurt you. I had to be the villain.
The confession poured out in gasping bursts, each word a weight she had carried alone for years.
Then we have a common enemy. We work together, or he destroys us both.
For the first time in 3 years, Yui felt something other than guilt, hope. After school, they met in empty classrooms, planning their defiance in hushed voices.
You've carried this alone long enough. From now on, we share the weight.
Sometimes his fingers brushed hers when they passed notes, and she'd blush furiously, unable to meet his eyes. Kenji noticed her late nights, and one evening followed her to the library. Through a gap in the bookshelves, he watched them lean close, his jaw tightening. At the dojo, Coach Takeda spread more of Ren's mother's documents across the tatami.
Some clauses are sealed, but your mother made sure this fund would protect you if you meet its terms.
I'll hire a lawyer. Kenji won't destroy everything we're building, not after we've come this far.
Alone in his apartment, Ren's eyes caught a phrase, continuing the family line, but the rest was legally redacted. That night, Kenji dialed a number, his voice barely a whisper. "I'll handle the boy myself." The park bench where they sat every afternoon became a trap the moment a shadow fell across it.
I knew you'd turn her against me. Did you think I wouldn't notice my own daughter sneaking around?
Kenji's hand shot out and clamped around Yui's wrist, twisting just enough to make her whimper.
Let her go. Now.
Ren's hand closed over Kenji's wrist with a strength that hadn't existed a summer ago.
Touch me again and I'll tie your inheritance up in court until you're 30. That trust fund has conditions you can't even imagine.
Conditions? Father never mentioned anything beyond the age restriction.
Threaten all you want. She's not your tool anymore, and I'm not leaving.
Kenji's sneer faltered, but his eyes promised a reckoning. When he stalked away, Yui shook against Ren's shoulder, and he didn't let go. That night, Ren returned to the dojo and spread every trust document across the tatami.
Kenji finally showed his hand, didn't he? Your face tells me tonight was bad.
He said the fund has conditions I can't imagine. Find them before he uses them against us.
Coach adjusted his glasses and slowly traced the fine print of a notarized addendum. Full access to the Takahashi estate shall be granted only upon marriage within the registered family line.
Family line. But I'm the last Takahashi, unless they mean Yui through marriage.
Your mother's will. She feared you'd end up alone. This was her way of forcing you to build a home.
Ren stared at the clause, his mind racing through every threat Kenji had ever made.
He's not afraid of me taking the money. He's afraid of this clause of what it would make Yui and me.
Ren folded the document and slipped it into his blazer. The choice it demanded was impossible. The following evening, Yui let herself into Ren's apartment with the spare key he'd given her.
I found the clause. The one that says I have to marry within the family to unlock my mother's estate.
Yui didn't look surprised. She sank onto the sofa, fingers twisting together.
I've known since I was 14. Father screamed it at me the night he ordered me to drive you out. He said if you ever learned about it, you'd try to trap me. So I started saving to prove I wasn't his puppet.
She pulled the worn notebook from her bag and held it out with both hands, bowing her head.
You'd marry me just to atone? Even if I'm still the leftover you tormented?
You were never the leftover. I just chose the cruelest way to protect you. This notebook was supposed to be my dowry.
Ren's hand closed over hers, the notebook rough against both their palms. Neither of them spoke, but the question hung in the air. What kind of future could two people buy with guilt and a forced wedding?
Then let's use it. A fake engagement. We file the papers, unlock the fund, and strip Kenji's leverage.
For a moment, Yui's lips parted in disbelief. Then a fierce blush crept from her collar to her hairline.
Fake? I mean, yes, if it means you'll finally be free of him.
Ren nodded once, as if sealing a contract, and extended his hand across the coffee table. Their handshake was awkward and warm, neither willing to let go first.
I'll call the lawyer tonight. We'll have his threats recorded and the engagement filed before he can move.
This is really happening. Even if it's just pretend, he chose me.
Ren picked up his phone, already dialing, while Yui sat frozen on the couch.
Yes, I need to file a marriage entry. Immediate family clause. I'll send the details now.
By morning, the first papers were signed, and the line between pretense and longing had already begun to blur. Ren slipped the miniature recorder into his inner pocket before heading to the old house.
Kenji, I'm giving you one last chance to drop the threats before I involve the authorities.
Authorities, you have nothing. That trust fund is as good as mine once I prove you've been living immorally.
Kenji's voice dripped with arrogance, each word captured on tape.
I'll drag you through every court in the prefecture. That girl will be homeless before she turns 18 if you don't vanish.
From behind Ren, a lawyer produced the recorder and played Kenji's threats back for all to hear. Mr. Saito threatening a minor into abandoning his legal inheritance is a crime. The lawyer's voice was icy calm. Kenji's face went pale as he realized the trap.
You wanted a war. Now you get one, but with evidence.
For the first time, Ren saw fear in his stepfather's eyes. The immediate threat was neutralized. That night, in the quiet of his apartment, the weight of everything they'd overcome finally settled.
Yui, I need you to know this engagement stopped being about the claws a long time ago.
What is he saying?
Somewhere between the notebooks and the threats, I realized I wanted you by my side, not just as an ally.
You mean, you actually?
She couldn't finish. A sob broke through, and she threw herself into his arms. Ren caught her easily, his own eyes burning as he wrapped his arms around her.
I loved you even when I hated you. That's why it hurts so much.
I love you too. I have for so long I forgot what it felt like not to.
In that small apartment, the leftover and the villain finally became just a boy and a girl, holding on to something real. The civil ceremony was quiet. Just an officiant, 2 witnesses, and a pair of signatures that reshaped their lives. Ren Takahashi and Yui Saito became legally bound before lunch, ink still drying on the family register. By the time they returned home, Ren's phone vibrated with a single notification.
Trust fund dispersed in full. She really did it. My mother made sure we'd be okay.
On their new balcony, Yui produced the worn notebook one last time.
I don't need this anymore. Every yen was a promise, and you kept the biggest one.
Ren opened a small safe they'd installed just for this.
This notebook is our foundation. The trust fund will grow, but this stays locked away.
He closed the safe, and for the first time, their future didn't feel like a gamble. Outside, the city lights blinked on, but inside, they'd already found the only inheritance that mattered. In the weeks that followed, the apartment filled with shared habits. 2 mugs by the sink, a knitted blanket, quiet laughter before bed. They walked to school hand in hand, cherry blossoms catching in Yui's hair like pale confetti.
Yui, you're glowing. I never thought I'd see you smile at a boy, especially him.
In class, Ren slid a note onto her desk. You still blush like the first day.
What's wrong, leftover? Did you think a summer could change anything?
You're terrible, using my own words against me. But I'll let it slide. Just this once.
And so leftover became their private joke, a word that now made her smile instead of flinch. In the kitchen, she stirred curry while he chopped vegetables, their shoulders brushing in the narrow space. After dinner, she leaned into his shoulder, a book open but forgotten. Outside, the world turned, but in that small flat they had everything they needed. One evening, Ren lifted an old keepsake box from the top shelf of their closet. Inside, beneath a faded photograph, lay a letter addressed in his mother's handwriting.
My dearest Ren, if you're reading this, you've found someone worth sharing your inheritance with.
Yui looked up from the sofa, her book forgotten.
The trust was never just money. It was a reason to build a family when the world tried to leave you alone.
His voice wavered, but Yui's hand found his and held on.
She wanted you to have exactly this. A home. A person who'd fight for you.
Ren folded the letter carefully, his eyes meeting hers. In her gaze, he saw the same promise his mother had written about 2 decades ago. And in that small flat, 2 people once called leftover and villain finally understood they were exactly where they belonged. One evening, they stepped onto the balcony as the sun dipped below the city skyline. Ren slipped his arm around her shoulders, and she leaned into him without hesitation.
I used to think you'd never look at me without anger.
And I thought I'd never stop hating you. Funny how time bends when you let it.
A warm breeze lifted her hair, and she caught his hand, threading her fingers through his.
Thank you for not giving up on me.
You gave me a reason not to. That's more than anyone else ever did.
They stood in silence, the city lights starting to flicker on below. In that moment, the past felt like a distant echo, and the future was a promise they finally believed in. The girl who once called him the leftover had become the one who would never let him go.